The vice chair of the Democratic National Committee is actively planning to unseat sitting Democratic members of Congress, not Republicans, Democrats. And he's doing it with a $20 million war chest and the backing of some of the most plugged-in Gen Z organizers in the country. This is real, and it could blow up the 2026 primaries. David Hogg, the activist who became nationally known after surviving the Parkland shooting in 2018, is now a vice chair of the Democratic National Committee. He's 25, Harvard grad, deeply connected to Gen Z political organizing, and has basically become one of the most visible young progressives in the party. But what's surprising a lot of people, including some inside the party itself, is what he's decided to do with that position. Rather than just helping the party do its usual thing, fundraising, coordinating messaging, working to elect Democrats in general elections, Hogg is taking a much more confrontational route. He's leading a new $20 million effort through a group he co-founded called Leaders We Deserve to actively challenge Democratic incumbents in primary races, not Republicans, Democrats. He's not doing this randomly or to create chaos. His rationale is that the Democratic Party has been stuck in what he calls a culture of seniority politics, where older, long-serving members keep their seats largely by default, even if they're no longer the most effective, most energetic, or most connected to the issues that younger generations care about. He thinks that has to change, especially with Trump back in office and a lot on the line. So the plan is to target safe blue districts, places where whoever wins the Democratic primary is basically guaranteed to win the general election. That way, he's not risking giving seats to Republicans. Instead, he's trying to open up space for new, younger, more aggressive candidates to take on sitting Democrats who, in his view, aren't doing enough to push back against Trump or address the urgency of the moment. Now, here's where it gets complicated and controversial. Hogg is still officially a DNC vice chair, and technically that's supposed to be a neutral position. The party even circulated a pledge among its top officers recently, asking them to stay out of primaries so the national party doesn't appear to be favoring one Democrat over another. Everyone signed it, except Hogg. So now you've got this situation where one of the top figures in the DNC is also running a campaign to unseat sitting Democratic members of Congress. Some party insiders are obviously uncomfortable with that. They see it as undermining party unity or as stepping outside the traditional role of party leadership. Others, especially younger Democrats, see it as long overdue. Hogg knows it's going to piss people off. He's already said publicly that he expects attacks, smears, and efforts to destroy his reputation. But he's not backing down. He's framing it as a test of whether the party actually wants change, or whether people just say that as long as their own position isn't threatened. He's made it clear that this isn't about ageism or replacing people just because they're older. In fact, he specifically called out two older lawmakers, Jan Schakowsky and Nancy Pelosi, and said they're effective, still engaged, and should stay. So it's not out with the old for the sake of it. It's about whether a lawmaker is still fighting hard, staying present, and earning their seat. And it's not just about Congress. Leaders We Deserve is also planning to invest in down-ballot races, especially state legislatures. Their goal is to back people 30 and under at the state level and under 35 for federal races. So it's a broader movement aimed at cultivating a bench of younger Democratic leaders who are ready to fight now, not 10 or 20 years from now. He said ideology isn't the only thing they're focused on. It's more about energy, responsiveness, and willingness to confront the reality of a second Trump term. But he did make one thing clear. If a challenger is coming from the right of an incumbent, trying to move the party backward, they won't get his support. So this isn't about replacing liberals with moderates or centrists, it's about replacing passive or ineffective lawmakers with people who are actually stepping up. The group raised around $12 million last cycle, mostly small dollar donations, but they also have some big major backers like Ron Conway, a big California investor who put in $500,000. So this isn't just symbolic. It's a real operation with real resources. Randi Weingarten, the head of the American Federation of Teachers and a prominent figure inside the DNC, has said she supports what Hogg is doing, even if it ruffles feathers. Her view is that they're trying to bridge the gap between the party's core values and a younger generation that often feels disconnected or left behind by traditional Democratic leadership. It's part of a bigger generational rift that's been growing within the party, especially now that Trump is back in power. A lot of younger Democrats, especially those who came of age during the Trump and post-Trump eras, are frustrated with what they see as a risk-averse, overly cautious party leadership that talks about big change but doesn't always fight for it. So Hogg's effort is tapping into something deeper than just a few primary challenges. It's a challenge to how the party operates. It's saying, if you want the party to be of the future, you can't keep recycling the past. You've got to make space and actually support a new generation of leaders who are closest to the stakes of this moment. Leaders who will still be around to live with the consequences of what happens under a second Trump administration. The move is risky. It could create real fractures within the party. But Hogg seems to be betting that a controlled, targeted push for generational change, especially in districts where Democrats are safe, could revitalize the party, not tear it apart. And he's doing it from inside the structure of the DNC, not from the outside, which makes it even more significant. The big question now is, who will they target first? The group hasn't announced endorsements yet, but that's coming soon. Once they do, we'll get a clearer picture of how aggressive this strategy is going to be and how the establishment will respond. But for now, it's clear that David Hogg is using his platform not just to protest or advocate from the sidelines, but to directly shape the future of the Democratic Party, even if it means going toe-to-toe with people who wear the same jersey. Thank you for watching today's video. Like and subscribe if you're here for straightforward, no-fluff political news coverage. I'm Edison Voss. See you in the next one.